What's going on, everybody? Transfer deadline, and we're here to bring you the breakdown of everything that's happened today. Forgive the timing. Normally, we do this at 10 o'clock and we do an hour countdown, but me and Tony have just got back from the theatre in Farringdon, central London. So we're sort of scraping our way through at the moment, but there's a lot to fill you in at. And then we're going to analyze Arsenal's transfer window as it stands. So let me just get the headlines up here and give me a second because I'm going to have to shut the door as well. Let's put a banner up here. Right, okay, let's get a banner up here. Right, hold on a second, guys. Right, give me a second. Tony, also, I went and bought some food and I even had no time to eat it. Madness.
So it looks like the Raheem Sterling deal to Arsenal is still being ratified.
Yeah, here we go, guys. Right, we're back in the house. Okay, lots to talk about, guys. Lots to talk about. I kind of got the inkling at 8 a.m. this morning that stuff was going on. The family was down at London Coney. So we were talking about a deal getting done. It was all kinds of stuff. So let me start at the beginning. What's going on, Emerson? Big shout out to you, bro. Gary coming in right now. Gary entering the stream. So we'll break it down for you guys. So this is basically what happened. The talk started about 2 weeks ago. Raheem Sterling was approached by Edu. Would you like to play for Arsenal? And he said, you know, it's definitely something that I wouldn't mind doing. Let's talk about it as things come to pass. And I believe it was 8 days ago, just over a week ago, Raheem said, yes, I want to come and play for Arsenal. And obviously all of this had to be kept quiet. I told a few of the panelists guys as well what was going on this morning. So he arrived at 8 o'clock this morning. As things started going through, the initial deal was supposed to be Chelsea wanted 60, 70 million for him. Was never going to happen. And honestly, within about 15 minutes, that was dead as a doornail. And then the problem then came is that Chelsea was like, there's these huge wages. You're going to have to take them. Arsenal said no. I think Chelsea quandered for about half an hour. And then they came back and said, okay, we'll pay a portion of the wages. And I think that that's really what's taken so long today. This thing's been going on from 8 this morning. The initial bid was they would pay 20% of the wages. Arsenal said no. Then they came back with 30%. Arsenal said no. And then it switched up to that Chelsea would pay 40% of the salary. So in monetary terms, Raheem makes 300 grand a week. Chelsea have agreed to pay 120 grand a week of that salary, leaving Arsenal with a sum of 180,000 a week. In adjacent to a guy who's making over 15 million a year, that's great business for Arsenal. Arsenal have essentially got themselves a 60, 70 million pound player at 300 grand a week, and they're paying him 180. It's a win-win for Arsenal. The guy is one of four players who have scored 20 goals a season in a striker role. Only Theo Walcott, Mo Salah, Mahrez, Song for Spurs, and Raheem Sterling. Only those guys have scored 20 goals from the winger attacking wide positions in Premier League history. And we've got a guy who we can use to adapt those goals, creativity. He can go past players, which actually is a weakness of Arsenal. And it looks like, I believe it was 7:30 that the notification came through that the lawyers needed to get there within the hour. I don't know what time that they got there because I've been with Tony, so I've been missing all of the texts and everything, the information. Honestly, me and Tony was looking at each other, and Tony turned around to me in the theatre and said, you know, things are going on and we don't know what's going on. And then Tony Cox said his famous words, I hate the damn transfer window. So me and them kind of shut off for 3 hours. When we came out, it was all going crazy. that the lawyers were there. I can hear one of you guys in the background. When we came out, it was the lawyers were there. They're trying to close the deal down. The transfer window is closed 8 minutes ago. I know that the signature's been done and handed through, and they've got now till 1 a.m., which is another hour and 50 minutes to finalize the contracts and send it through to the FA. Tony, let me get your thoughts on everything first, and then we'll go into the whole Arsenal transfer window.
So, as I've said on many an occasion, I absolutely hate the transfer window. But I can't stay away from it. It's like a poison that you can't not drink. You have to accept that, this point of the year, your club is going to either let you down massively or cheer you up humongously and give you encouragement to think we're going on to do bigger and better things. Now, that's probably the feeling of a lot of people with a lot of clubs. And this transfer window hasn't disappointed because looks like the Reece Nelson move to Ipswich is off.
What?
Yeah,
he's gone to Fulham.
No longer moving to Ipswich.
Reece has gone to Fulham.
Yes.
Yeah. Reece has gone to Fulham.
Oh my goodness! I can't even keep up.
Yeah, I don't.
Fulham come in about literally.
So the only thing I know about that, guys, is Reece is on 100 grand a week. Ipswich said that they would only pay him 80, and I don't know any more than that. So Gary, what we can take from this is that he's gone in, and he's not accepting 80, and then that meant that Arsenal would have had to play the 20, right? They weren't going to do that. So
I don't know. I mean, from what I've only read bits and pieces on X, but because he was on the way to Ipswich, and I think Fulham have come in right at the last minute, and I think the link up with ESR and Iwobi was maybe too good of a thing for him to turn down. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, the guys all come through the academy together, and obviously Fulham maybe are paying him what he wants, and he's got to Fulham staying in London, rather than going all the way down to Suffolk. So maybe that was too much to turn down. So yeah, I've literally read it about 2 minutes before I come on here.
So I've just got some bad news,
wow,
I'm afraid.
Ed,
I've just got some bad news. Ed Hagen has just announced that Mikel Merino will be out for 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, I was told
he's got a fractured arm, isn't he?
Yeah,
fractured shoulder. Yeah, and I got Zoe sent me the message as soon as the medical team did the scan, and then I told you guys, I did send you guys the information on it. It's a shoulder. I think I posted it on the forum, and I was told at the time it's going to be 3 to 4 weeks. So if what you're saying, Gary, is true, and I'll get a confirmation of this in the morning, when the girls get in the medical center, but then it sounds slightly worse. I did hear it was a break, so I heard it was going to be 3 to 4 weeks. Then I heard afterwards that it was a fracture, and so that's probably what's going to take long. It's not the end of all. Considering what happened to Timber last season, he'll be playing in mid end of October, so it's nothing really disastrous. Shout out to Guna Matters in the house, Emerson in the house. Big up you guys, and so Gary. Raheem Sterling, let's hear your side. Let's hear what's going on your side. What's your thoughts on Raheem Sterling?
Well, I'm happy that we brought him in at the last knockings of the window.
Hopefully,
obviously with a deal.
Hopefully,
yeah, fingers crossed. Touch wood. I mean, obviously with a deal like this for a player like him, if you would have got in early, then Chelsea are going to be like, we want X amount of pounds, which we're never going to pay. And then to top it off with the wages he would have wanted, it just wouldn't have been a no-go. So I understand why it's probably left to lastminute.com. Then it's up to Chelsea to make the move, or he has to stay. And then Chelsea owed him 70 million in wages.
Yeah.
So if Chelsea didn't get rid of him, he's sitting there for another year, whatever. He's under no obligation to leave. Chelsea's still got to pay him 325 grand a week. So I understand why it's left to last minute. But I'm just happy that we brought someone in. You know, he can play left wing, he can play right wing, he can play false 9, he can play 10. You know, so we've got a player that can fill different options. Arteta knows him double well. I was just actually watching a video on X. Well, I'm going to call it Twitter anyway. I'm not even going to call it X.
I don't call it X.
On Twitter of
I don't call it X.
Yeah, it sounds rubbish when you say X. It sounds like you're talking about some X-rated stuff.
Yeah.
So I was just watching a video on Twitter about Guardiola and Arteta having a conversation about Sterling from the back in the Man City days after he missed a couple of chances, and that Pep saying why did he take him off and this, that, and the other, and Arteta was kind of sticking up for him. So obviously he knows Arteta well. KFC.
Yeah, I mean, me and Tony ain't even.
I can't believe you guys are eating that goddamn. Yeah, so I'm pleased with the Sterling move, but overall, I think the wind has been a slight letdown.
Ooh.
I mean, to be honest, I can understand you, Gary. I kind of feel like we've made 2 additions which are absolutely amazing that get a 9 out of 10 in Calafiori and Mikel Merino. Obviously, David Raya falls into this window, but we don't really count him. But we had him
already, man. That was already done.
Exactly. Now, then we look at what other business have we done? Well, you and I talked about this last year. Vieira and ESR, one of them had to go. And we both wanted Vieira to go. So we were happy when we heard that. But to get rid of both of them left an immediate hole. Now, you could say Merino fills one of them holes. But when you do the math and you look at the number of players, Nweri coming in is a positive. We know Miles Skelly is very much on the brink, and he can do a job if called upon. But we've lost, right across the front line, Nketiah, possibly Reece Nelson, ESR, Vieira, Patino. And you're like, well, that's 5 players and we've got 2 in.
Yeah. I was talking about this with my son earlier, and they're saying, right, so if Nwaneri's going to replace the Vieira role, okay, you can accept that. But who's replacing Eddie? Who's replacing ESR? Right, all right, so ESR didn't play a lot. Vieira didn't play. I think there was something, there was a post the other day, between all of them, they had 2,536 minutes last season. I think the post was. So who's going to be picking up their minutes? Yes, we brought in Calafiore, but he's a defender. So he's not there to replace any one of the people that have been sold. Nor is Timber, and nor is Merino. Merino has been brought in to play left 8, which frees Havertz to play 9. Because Havertz will be the starting striker. Jesus will be the second striker. Jesus can't stay fit. We've all seen it. He has a great couple of months, and then all of a sudden, he's missing for 3 or 4 months. So it's a big issue, and we would have been so short.
He's dead food.
We would have only had Havertz as a striker and Martinelli as a backup centre forward. But then, leaving yourself bare bones in attack because a couple of injuries to Saka, Trossard, whoever. What are we going to do? Miles Skelly is a left-back central midfielder like Thomas Partey. So he's not going to be able to play left wing or wherever, And then you're looking to go academy, struggling till January. We just see Merino come in first training session, and Apollo read out the stats of Merino about the duels he won. Man comes into one duel against Gabby and in Brock. Do you know what I'm saying? So it just shows you how things can happen. So you can say like Odegaard's never injured, but it could be one bad tackle. We saw the guy the other day from Brighton make his debut in the Carling Cup, get cleaned out with a nasty tackle, and he's now missing for a period of months. So when you leave yourself threadbare, it's not, and you're fighting for all these competitions, all these upcoming fixture clusters and all that. I don't think you can afford to do it. And I think for them to be you could probably say a bit blasé about it and just, we're happy with what we got. Well, you've kind of got rid of 4 players that could have done a job for Arsenal, and you haven't brought anyone in to replace the 4 that you've lost. So to me, it doesn't really make absolute sense. And I think the main thing is we've seen Arsenal go about their business for the last couple of windows so impressively. So it raises expectations within the fan base, within all the shows like ours and so on and so forth. And we're expecting Arsenal to go out there, wham, bam, 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 bam. Players come in, you lot go, job done. We've got exactly what we need. So I think this window came as a bit of a shock, and it kind of reminded a lot of people of the windows previous to the last 2 or 3, where there was a lot of. I mean, we was talking about when we signed that Kim Kallstrom, we come with a broken back.
Broken back. Yeah, the difference here is he was fit when he came to Arsenal, though. That's the difference here.
So I just think a lot of people were a bit underwhelmed with the window because we expected more. But we've got what we've got now till January at least. So
yeah. As I said, there are two diamonds in the rough in Calafiori and Marino. We enjoyed seeing Marino play during the Euros. Obviously, he's a winner, having now won the Euros with Spain. Calafiori just looks like a rock. Obviously, having Timber back is like, it's like having a new signing. So our defense is stacked. But, look, we were linked with Ivan Toney. We were linked with Gyökeres. We were linked with Sesko. We were linked with Victor Osimhen. 4 players, and we got none of them. And you kind of think, well, everyone wanted one of them. One.
No, okay, so nobody wanted them, Tony, because the price even went down to 40 million. And look, Europe's top 5 leagues, nobody wanted Osimhen. Victor Osimhen, guys, this was a guy who was going for 100 million last year. 100 million striker. And we knew that this summer, when everybody put 100 million on their tags and Ivan Toney 80 million, teams just walked away. And the price kept going down and down and down and down. And to the point where Ivan Toney has agreed a fee of 40 million. They agreed a fee with Napoli for 55 million for Osimhen. And Osimhen came out about 6 hours ago and said, I've got no interest of going over some far land to play football. I want to stay in Europe. And as it is right now, Osimhen is staying. Well, he can't stay because Conte said 2 days ago, he's not in my plans. We don't want him here. And he actually said,
that's right. The deal with Osimhen is that he's agreed a deal with Al Ahly. That deal doesn't have to be done for another 3 days because their transfer window doesn't close till Monday.
It wasn't Osimhen that agreed the deal. It was Napoli that agreed the deal, Tony.
No, but apparently he's also agreed. You know how much they're going to pay him?
650 grand a week.
650. He's agreed it. He's agreed it. So the deal was I either go to Chelsea as a buyout, or the stumbling block with the Saudi deal was a release clause. Because he said, if a European team wants me and are willing to pay, I need that release clause that can say, you can go. And they didn't want to do it. And then eventually they were like, nope, we got to get him at all costs. And now they've done that deal. So that deal will happen.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what's going on. So let me break it down for you guys. Let's do that first, and so we can have a conversation. Was the window good? Was the window bad? Was the window average? I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. First of all, for me, on my side, I'm giving the window about a 7 out of 10. Why? The positives. The positives here is that, and we can have a look at it here, these are the players that we've signed. Permanent David Raya, great signing. Permanent Calafiori, great signing. Mikel Merino, one of the best defensive players in Europe, great signing. Neto from Bournemouth, decent
That's a
goalkeeper.
loan. That's a
It's
loan.
a loan. Yes, it says loan next to it. Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
Neto Bournemouth, that's a loan. I'm gonna let Tony and Gary fight over the what was his name? The guy we had from Nottingham Forest, Matt. You see how bad it is. We can't even remember Matt's surname.
Matt Turner.
Matt Turner. There it is.
He's gone.
Yeah, them guys was flooding over his performances for the whole season, and then he went to the World Cup and had the really good World Cup. But he's a decent goalie, and for a number 2, he's probably about roundabout where you want to be. So for Neto, probably going to be the same thing with him. And then Raheem Sterling on loan, which is just a fantastic deal for Arsenal. We've got all the benefits and none of the issues in regards to a big 60 million fee, big set of wages. We don't have that. We don't have that at all. So the good news, guys, is Arsenal have bought in 5 players. And so that's where I think that it's definitely helped because, and I'll tell you my reasons why. It's no good us having all these players like Smith Rowe, like Nelson, and Lokonga, all these guys, and we're not playing them. And that was essentially what was happening. What was happening was the bench was full, decent squad. And I know it's difficult to say decent because Man City squad was 25. Arsenal's squad was like probably 14 players that you could say would start for you every week. And then the rest of them were questionable. Yeah. And we saw that in the fact that Arteta didn't play them. He just didn't play them, guys. And he didn't play them because he didn't trust them to do what he wanted to do. With these 4 or 5 players we've got now, he's going to play them. He trusts what they can do. They are fits for what he wants to do. So essentially, guys, and by the way, hit the like button, guys. Over 150 of you watching, hit the like button. How can we only have about 3 likes when there's over 150 of you watching? So hit the like and let us know that you love Arsenal and you love what we've done in the transfer window. So that for me is, in terms of the players we brought in, it's a semi plus. I would probably give it a C plus or a B minus. But where I think we've done really well, where I think Arsenal get a B plus or A minus, is we've got rid of 12 players. So, Emil Smith-Rowe gone to Fulham. Eddie Nketiah gone to Crystal Palace. Aaron Ramsdale gone to Southampton. El Nene gone, Algerez. Suarez released. Okonkwo to Wrexham. Fabio Vieira to Porto on loan. Sambi Lokonga, Sevilla on loan. Nuno Tavares, Lazio on loan. Carl Hein is gone to Real on loan. And right now, we're still waiting for confirmations of Reece Nelson. Charlie Patino also gone as well. So there is about 14 players out of the door, which I think is a positive for the club. And I'm thinking right now, when I sit back and I look at the calculator, and you guys know, I'm a bit of a bookworm when it comes to the business side of it. I think what Arsenal was planning to do this summer, and remember, guys, the money was there for a big deal. Yeah. Josh Kroenke came over, and I was told firsthand money was there. If they wanted to do a 60, 70, 80 million deal, the money was on the table. But preferably, Josh Kroenke wanted to see us for the first time in 5 years in profit, because our numbers, we've been running at a loss for the last 4 seasons. And I think that for Arsenal and for their sustainability model, they really wanted to come out of this summer in a positive light. And when I look at the 14 players gone, and all them guys off the wage bill, and to add to that, Raya's only costing you 100 grand a week. Calafiori is on 40 grand a week. Mourinho's on 70 grand a week. Neto, 30 grand a week. And Raheem Sterling from 300 grand down to 180 grand a week. So I think you've done really well there in terms of the wages and the salary. So for me, guys, I'm going with a 7 so far. It's positive, but it's not outstanding. It's not the world-blowing transfer that we're used to. Last season, we spent over 220 million, and you can't do that every year if you want to be sustainable. It's all about having the right bums on the right seats, and I think Arsenal have done well. It's no point keeping 10 players and they don't fit your system and you don't play them. You'd rather have 4 or 5 players who you know you're going to play. So I think that that's where the squad levels up a little bit this year. Tony, your thoughts, mate?
Oh,
I'll be back in a second, guys.
I do like what we've done. I do like the business that we've done. Can I give it a 7 when you've subtracted 12 and added 5? That the numbers just don't stack up. I mean, even when you add the two, even when you add the 2 youngsters from the under 23 team, the under 21 team, 12 out. You might as well even call it 13 because we didn't manage to get Kieran Tierney out, but that's only because he's injured again. But he ain't.
He's our Phil Jones though.
He's not going to be anywhere near our team.
No, he's our Phil Jones, isn't he?
He's worse than Phil Jones. I think I saw Phil Jones in the flesh play a couple of times. I'm struggling with Kieran Tierney. It's just like, it's so disappointing. But hey, listen. Can I go? I'm a little bit conflicted on how to grade this transfer window. I just kind of feel we might have left ourselves a bit short. I would rather have had 2 extra players. I would rather have just kept a hold of Smith Rowe, who was my favourite player of all the players that we've let go. He's the one player I would have kept. Yeah. Other than that, I actually won't complain about the others going, so long as you got numbers in. And I just think we've done well midfield and left back, a midfielder. We didn't get a winger. We have now really with Raheem. But I would have liked another striker, especially seeing as you let a striker go, and now you're left the club with 2 strikers, one of which who's a sick note. So that little bit of detail to me was massive. I just feel like, Edu came out early in the transfer window and said, wait till the end, Arsenal fans, you won't be disappointed. And I think a few fans will be slightly disappointed because we didn't go out and get a big name striker. And we sniffed around so many of them. We sniffed around so many. As I said, Sesko, Gyökeres, Ivan Toney, Victor Osimhen. Obviously the player that Mikel really wanted was Nico Williams. That was never going to happen. But, I like the ambition.
Yeah, but hold on, Tony. When you're saying you like the ambition would be Nico Williams, there's your release clause. Do you want to come? That's ambition. I could say, oh, you know what? I absolutely love Victor Gyökeres as a manager of Arsenal. Yeah, that's ambition. But ambition is there when you say, well, I like this player. There's the money.
Yeah.
Or there's an offer. What do you want to do?
So I just want to comment. On those two. First of all, as I reported on this channel about 6 weeks ago, we did agree a fee for Victor Gyökeres. A fee was agreed. What we all knew was that release clause of 100 million euros, that just is not going to happen in today's day and age. There's no team, and that's proven because no team has gone out there and bought any kind of striker for that kind of money. Those days are gone. You're not going to buy or sell a striker for 100 million. That's
why
it's gone.
What? Hang on a second. Why is that not going to happen?
Tony, it's not happened this summer. Teams are not going out there. They've not bought. First of all, the Sesko deal, 6 teams was in for him, and that was 40 odd million, and that was good money. That was a bargain. Osimhen has been available from day one. So has Victor Gyökeres. You tell me who's gone in and put a bid on them. Nobody. There's no market for it, mate. There is no market.
I think the difference is, Apollo, is that, you know, Osimhen, I think the problem is not the transfer fee. The problem is the salary. Gyökeres, I think people are just going, well, hang on a second, how good really is this kid? Because we ain't seen like 2-3 years of this kid blowing up his country in terms of like goals and assists that we can go, we've got enough data to go and blow all our money on this kid.
Yeah, I think it's and this is just me, I haven't heard this from any sources, but just me being off the back of my head, I think we're coming into a time now where we know what the money situation is. We know what companies are doing in regards to interest rates. We know what businesses are doing. We also understand Arsenal have been in negative profit for 4 years. And we're not talking about Arsenal. We're talking about football in general. Teams are just not going out there and spending the big bucks. Chelsea is an anomaly. People can bring them up and use them as an example, but they are not the de facto example for football right now.
We spent big bucks last year on Declan Rice. So
yeah, exactly.
We spent big bucks last year on Declan Rice.
Yes, but that's not sustainable every year, Gary. You can't do that every year.
I know it's not sustainable every year. So what you're saying is that it's not sustainable to spend 100 million this year because we spent 100 million last year, but next year we could go and spend 100 million again.
No, what I'm saying to you is that, and we're talking about Victor Gyökeres, that 100 million deal, we wanted it for 60. We came to the table. They allowed us to speak to him for personal terms. We got that sorted out. And once you do the personal terms, you have to go back to the team and figure out a figure. They were not dropping from it. There was rumors that I heard that they were going to drop down for it, but those rumors were not true because they didn't drop the price. So every time I went back to Colin, who works in accounts, he was saying they've come back to us with nothing. So there's no deal there. And the only team he wanted to go to was Arsenal. He told PSG, Napoli, told abundance of teams that Arsenal is the only team he's interested in going to. And he started off the season in a banger, 9 goals in 4 games. It's like he's a banger, bro.
6 goals, 3 assists.
But that's the reason why they didn't want to budge from the price. They felt, just like West Ham did last year, they felt he was 100 million euros, which is 85 million pounds, and they weren't budging from it. Moving on to who was the next one?
Šeško.
Yes, it's because Sesko's decided he didn't want to go. No, the next one is Nicole Williams. So Nicole Williams and Arsenal has had 2 meetings, and I've told you guys that off the bat. Yeah, we know he's had 2 meetings. The problem, not just with Arsenal, but the 4 teams that were after him, is that he didn't want to commit to anything. And the problem when you have a release clause is you have to get the permission from the team to put the clause, which is not difficult because there's not really permission. The clause is there. Once you hit it, then you can go and negotiate with the player. The problem is the agent was told everyone in Europe that he has not made up his mind where he wants to go. So teams like Arsenal, even Barcelona saying that they wanted him, but he never really committed to Barcelona. The other one was Juventus, and I think it was Inter Milan was the other team. He didn't come out and say he wanted to go to any of those teams. So what that tells the team is that, sorry, we're not going to make an approach for him. He's gotten a very high salary, huge salary, which means that you're going to have to say, if you're going to sign him, you have to pay him more than what he's getting. So on the books, he was looking at about 350 grand a week. And that's just, again, it's the red flag. It's a no-no for most teams. He was essentially putting himself out of the market. So those 2 instances with Gyökeres and Nicole Williams Jr. was kind of out of Arsenal's hands. It really was, because they were just not going to commit finance. And it wasn't them. No team was going to commit to that, because no team has committed to that for what the 2 players wanted. That's what we do know. So I think in regards to Osimhen, I feel bad for him because And I don't know what's happened. I'm going to have to ask a few people to find out what's happened, because shit went down with the fallout, the racist stuff that Napoli posted on their Instagram. He didn't like it. That's when everything went downhill. And I don't know why that's reflected bad on him to the point where no teams would want to touch him. This guy is in demand. He's people are talking about his Haaland level. He's Haaland 2.0, but no team has touched him. So I don't have the information in regards to behind the scenes, what's happening with him, but it's extraordinary that we're talking about Victor Osimhen here, and there's just no one that went in. The figure had gone down to 55 million, and teams still didn't want to go.
It's the salary, mate.
Yeah.
600,000 a week.
No, but that's what was offered in Saudi Arabia. No team in Europe was offering him that.
Right.
I think the most they were offering him was like 300 or something like that. But no team was obviously offering what Saudi, and that was the sticking point. I think he heard what Saudi was offering him. Then he turned around and says, "I want Messi kind of money. I want you lot to offer me that," and then everybody backs off. In regards to Ivan Toney, that's easy. That's a no-brainer because of what happened with the misdemeanor. Let's call it a misdemeanor with him when he was at Brentford and the ban. I said 6 months ago, ethically, and this is what I heard from inside the Arsenal training ground, ethically, Arsenal were never going to approach him. It was not on their books. They had 2 meetings with him. The second meeting was with Ivan Toney himself, and Edu and Tim Lewis were not going for it. They did not like it. It was a no. They scratched it off. So that's where we are, guys. Over to you, Tony. Actually, no, over to Gary, because Tony and yam some food. And my food is still looking at me here on this table. Over to you, Gary.
Yeah, so transfer window. I mean, we done a show a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? When we was grading the transfer window so far. And I think I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I'm going to downgrade that to a 5.5. I think it's... It just seems to be really underprepared. You know, like Nico Williams may not have been a deal that we could have done, and Gyökeres wasn't a deal that we could have done. But I'm pretty sure, you know, when you're letting players
Gary,
go.
hold on a second. Hold on, Gary.
Done by 1 a.m.
Hold on.
Raheem Sterling will move on loan from Chelsea to Arsenal. Of course, a really good move for him because he was told that he didn't have a future here at Chelsea. So he's going to move to Arsenal. Really interesting, though, because if you think about it, Chelsea are moving out a forward who's on big wages, and they're bringing in a sort of player who plays in a similar position on loan on pretty big wages as well. And then next summer, they are going to have an obligation to buy Jadon Sancho. And next summer, there's the possibility that Raheem Sterling will be coming back to Chelsea as well. So a complicated picture, but I'm sure the people who run Chelsea feel that they are strengthening their squad by letting Raheem Sterling move to Arsenal and bringing in Jadon Sancho.
Yeah, to say it is a complicated situation, isn't it?
Well,
I mean,
let's shut that down. Basically, what they're saying is what I said to you guys from what I have been told, that the lawyers there are working hard to finish this off. The FA have given them up to 1 a.m. So we still have an hour and 20 minutes. And Sky News has just reported that they're assured that the deal would be done. I've not had any text updates at all. So I'm just going to have to go with Sky News on this one. But it's what the player wants. Look, guys, I've always said this to you guys when it comes to the transfer windows. It takes 3 parties to get the deal done. The team has to want the player has to want to go to that team, and the opposing team needs to want to be, in addition to want to sell or move that player on loan. And in this instance, all three of the boxes are ticked. So this deal is going to get done by hook or by crook. Gary, let's go back to you. You were talking about a 5.5 when we've released 14
I just
players.
think coming into this window, listen, we had targets, you know, right? If they're unobtainable, But I just think I'm in with Tony. I think, you know, you get rid of Eddie, who may not have played a load of games, but, you know, when Jesus was injured, he come in and covered and done well. Smith Rowe, you know, like, yeah, he picked up a couple of injuries, but he seemed to be bombed out. And I think it had to be Smith Rowe or Vieira had to go. And I was in the Vieira camp. I don't think he brings anything to the team. I think Smith Rowe could have brought a lot to the team. You know, watch him play the first game for Fulham. You know, he was involved. He scored a goal down the left. We're struggling down the left. You know, Smith Rowe, again, a guy that could have played left. He could have played 10. He could have played 8. Do you know what I mean? So I just think we've left ourselves a little bit short. And I think, I don't know, it just seems like, right, Reece Nelson and that guys, they weren't playing. I understand why you get rid of a Reece Nelson, but I don't understand why you would get rid of a Smith Rowe and a Vieira and an Eddie and a Reece in the same window.
So
I adequate cover.
So I probably 70% agree with you there. Where I think you're sort of missing out, Gary, and once you think about this, you'll probably think to yourself, yeah, okay, I can see it now. There's no point having players that you're not playing. So we talk about Smith Rowe, we've talked about Reece Nelson, Fabio Vieira. They weren't playing, mate. They were on the bench every game. They weren't getting no minutes.
That.
So,
but
I think
what I'm saying is, it's all right saying that they're not playing. That's fair enough. But not everyone in the squad can play at the same time. Now, the biggest thing that Arteta has to get right is this rotational policy, right? We've said it many times how Saka plays all these games, right? 90 minutes, getting battered in every game. How Eddie had to play through injury when Jesus was out, 95 plus minutes every game. Now, you've got a squad. If you don't trust the players in the squad, yes, there is no point in having them there, right? So you get rid of them. But while they are there, you have to go and use them. So if it's 3-0 and there's 79 minutes gone, why is Saka still on the pitch?
Yeah, so, and that's where because I haven't finished making my point. I'll come to you in a minute, Tony. That's where I think you're getting a bit mixed up with it, Gary, because when he's done what you've said, it's worked against us. So what he's done is he's put someone in which is not competent in his system. We see how it irritates him on the sideline, and there's times it has cost us. And now what we've seen from him in the latter part of the season, he's not willing to hurt the structure of the team on the field by just playing somebody just to fit a role. He's just not going to do that. So
but Apollo,
Tony said to me, I'm quoting you, Tony, then I'll come to you. Tony said to me, it seems like it's quality over quantity. And I think that, as I said, better to have 5 players who you're going to play than have 14 players that you're not going to play. And so that's why I think that this works. Go on, Tony.
Yeah, but the problem is, Apollo, yeah, if you don't like the players in your squad, then your job as chief in command is to go to the board and say, right, I'm not happy with 12 players. And they'll turn around and say, okay, we'll sell 12 of your players. Yeah, which is what they've done. They sold 12 players. Yeah. So you're taking my squad and you're decimating my squad from 25 to 14, 15. And quite frankly, the problem is, as we've just discussed, there are players playing too many minutes. We have to load manage Thomas Partey. We have to manage Martin Odegaard. We've been lucky that kid hasn't had an injury. Yeah? And he's built like a brick shithouse and can survive. We've been so fortunate with Saka. Even when he is injured, he's still playing. Yeah? So think about this, Apollo. If I don't like 12 players, it's not to say just get rid of 12 players and bring in 3. The answer is get rid of 12 players, but bring 8 in. Because subtraction does not make improvement.
Yeah, I agree. I agree
Taking a
that.
squad of
Yeah.
25 and having 14 players that are brilliant is nice. But guaranteed, you get 2 injuries. We're literally 1 injury away tomorrow. Yeah? 1 injury tomorrow.
And you know what that injury is? It's Odegaard, because I've heard that we're going to use Jorginho as a reserve 10 role as well. And when Yuri's going to get his numbers there, I can't wait to see Ethan Yuri playing at the number 10 as well. But I mean, last season we had Smith Rowe and Fabio Vieira as number 10 backups. This season, you've got a guy who's never started a Premier League game before in Ethan Nwaneri, and Jorginho, who plays as a double number 10, but mostly he plays as a 5 or a 6. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out for them. For me, it's a little bit inconsistent. I do think we're short. It's not perfect. Like I said, I gave it a 7. I think they should have brought in at least 7 players. They only brought in 5. And one of them they already had signed on loan from last year, David Raya. So, yes, I agree. I think the numbers are short. But that being said, I think that the players they got rid of, they weren't going to play. They didn't play them last year. They weren't going to play them this year.
Well, that's factually wrong, because we know they played.
No, the only one that played really was Eddie.
Right.
Eddie was the only one that played.
So you can't just make a blanket statement they didn't play. They did play.
Yeah, that's 14 players.
They all played.
No. Reece Nelson played 148 minutes out of...
Fabio Vieira played 1,000 minutes.
Fabio Vieira, did he?
No,
he played a lot of minutes.
Many. No, I don't think it was 1,000.
Whatever the number is, he played a...
Apollo, have you got our team as it stands now? Like, can you put it up, the graphic up with, like, so Raya, Neto, Calafiore, and all in their positions? And how many players are now actually in the first team picture?
That's a good question. I'll work on that. I'll try and get that sorted out.
I was just trying to find it, but I can't see it.
Yeah,
when it says like Neto, Raya, and then you got White and his understudy, which would be Timber.
So Fabio Vieira last season started 1 game in the Premier League, and his total for this season was just that 1 game, which I find really strange. EPL, no, that's not right. Sorry, he started 2 games last season, and he came off the bench 7 times. So he played a total of 292 minutes, which is not that much really than Reece Nelson.
I think Smith Rowe was about 400 minutes, weren't it?
Let me check that now.
I think it was 2,500 minutes between the 4 of them. I'm sure that's what the post said when I read it.
Right, Smith Rowe. Yeah, here we go. Smith Rowe. Here we are. Right, Smith Rowe last season, he started 3 games, and he played 347 minutes.
347. I wasn't far.
So we weren't playing him. We weren't playing him.
Yeah, but there was times when you could have played a Smith Rowe.
But he didn't. That's what I'm saying. He didn't.
We talk. You love to talk about tunnel vision. Arteta is the living version of tunnel vision. He sees.
But then I've said to you,
right, but he keeps sticking with it.
But I've said
like Martinelli's not
why he's doing that. So, yeah. So guys, let's talk about Raheem Sterling. Because
I got that graphic for you. I'm about to load it up.
Right, okay.
Give me a second.
I know I can rely on you.
All right, give me. And afterwards, guys, what we'll do is we'll talk about Raheem Sterling and go into detail about what our expectations is with him, and try and go into a little bit more depth about him. Cracking player. I love him because he's family. For those of you who don't know, he's married to my cousin Paige. So Raheem says I have to call him family, so I call him family. But he's not my direct family. He's just married to my cousin. Let me get this. Let me get this out of the way. All right, I'm gonna blank my screen for a bit. So, Gary, Tony, over to you.
Okay.
Right, so that's 25 players, Tone, yeah?
Yeah. So have we got rid of? Yeah. So as you can see, Jorginho suddenly becomes a 10 in that setup. Obviously, Rice has played there. You know, look, it's a fantastic defensive setup, but with
why is Tierney added on it, man? Why have they added Tierney on it?
I have
Tierney, get
no
rid of him,
idea.
man.
I have no idea.
Listen, we're
He's
literally
injured, so he can't get a transfer. He's injured.
Yeah,
he's our Phil Jones.
But yeah, I mean, look,
Who is
that is that there up front is short. Yeah, because essentially tomorrow we're playing Havertz up top because we haven't got Jesus. If Havertz picks up an injury, Martinelli has to go up front, and you got no one to back up Martinelli. Yeah.
Well, it's not only that, because obviously Sterling can play left or right. So Trossard will back up Martinelli if Havertz got injured.
Yeah.
Yeah. Martinelli goes through the middle, or Trossard goes through the middle. So we're still short of at least one player on either side if an injury occurs.
Yeah. And then you got Odegaard being backed up by Nwaneri.
Or Jorginho.
Love the kid, but love the kid, but boy, those are some big boots to fill.
Yeah, defensively and midfield, I really haven't got a problem with, but I just think we've left ourselves paper thin up top. Sterling would be a great addition, full of experience, plays left to right, even the 10. But if a couple of injuries, especially to Havertz, and to Odegaard, I think we're in a bit of trouble, and we have to try and hopefully nothing happens before January. We was lucky with injuries last year, but there's nothing saying that we're going to be lucky this year.
And the thing is, Gaz, I personally just think you just needed a body. I would have kept Nketiah. Literally, he's done a job. He's done a good job. I just feel like, you know what? Keep him.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, mate. I think to get rid of, and you've got rid of 4 homegrown players. What's the situation with homegrown players now?
Now we got plenty. So
who counts as homegrown there? White, Saliba, Rice.
Tierney. No, if he's in that squad, Rice, Nwaneri, Martinelli, Sterling, Saka.
And that's it. Yeah, so that's 8.
You got plenty. You got enough there. And we haven't even counted Lewis Skelly, who's technically part of that 25. And probably
I'm with you, Tone. I think we're just paper thin up front.
Yeah,
and a couple of injuries away from having a disastrous thing.
And as I said, you either just keep Nketiah, or even if you buy a body, look, I don't think Dominic Solanke's a great player. He's not, the ultimate answer. But you know what? I'd have took him. I'd have taken
Solanke for 65 million. I mean, I know Apollo was Apollo's guy, man, but not for me, man. Not for me.
He's not for me. But as I said, just get a body. Just get somebody to say, you know what?
You guys make me laugh. 19 goals in the Premier League in the season is not for you. You guys are nuts, man.
Yeah, but that's playing for Bournemouth. That's playing for Bournemouth, right? And I know you think 90 goals for Bournemouth, that's really good, but when you're the main striker and you're playing every time and you're the only one that's getting the chances, you should score goals, right?
Let me give you another name that we were linked with, Evan Ferguson.
Nah, not for me.
See?
Brighton would have wanted 100 million for him.
Just a body, mate.
Yeah, but Brighton would have wanted silly money for him. Like we was linked with that. Is it their player Adingra? They would have wanted silly money for him. We know Brighton's model. Yeah? We're going to buy a player for 50 pence and we want to sell him for 100 million. Matoma, they bought Matoma for 2 million. They want to sell him for 100 million. That's Brighton's model, right?
I tell you what else goes down as an absolute failure for me for Arsenal in this transfer window. Aaron Ramsdale. I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
I understand why he was sold.
We bought him for 30 million. Yeah. He was ranked as the best goalkeeper in the Premier League 2 years ago. Yeah. With a transfer value in excess of 70 million. And we sell him for 18 million. I ain't joking. I've seen players go from a team's reserve bench from their youth system for more money.
I can answer that, Tony.
That is taking the almighty piss.
Yeah, I can answer that, Tony. And this was also pointed out. I was told last week that I was told last week one thing, and then I heard Sam Dean talking about it on the Charles Watts show. So if I had heard it from the training ground and Charles Watts and Sam was talking about it, then that means that it's definitely something in the market. And that was this summer, there was just no market for goalkeepers. Like every team has got a goalkeepers, and there was a couple of goalies that went in Spain, and the value for them were really, really low. And that told them
what have you just said?
Tony, hold on a second and let me finish, right? And what's happening in your head is different from this reality. Yeah. So they was told that there was a 50 million goalkeeper in Spain, and then he ended up going for about 30 million. So they was quite surprised. But what that told them was that there was no market for a goalkeeper. And I think when you look at Aaron Ramsdale,
there must be a market for goalkeepers.
When you look at Aaron Ramsdale, he's been on the selling block since the window opened, and there's just been nobody coming through for him. So what they said, and actually what Charles and Sam said, and my sources from London Coney, pretty much hits home that yes, there was no real market for goalkeepers this summer. Unfortunately, that reflects in Ramsdale's price. But yeah, for me, he should be going for minimum 35, 40. Minimum. But it is what it is. There's no market for goalkeepers.
I think it was just a case of, it ended up being a case of, let's just get rid of him. We need him gone.
No, he was on sale for 2 months. And there was hardly any inquiries coming in. I couldn't believe it last week.
But that's why I'm talking about the fee, Apollo. That's why the fee ended up being like 18 million plus the add-ons, one of which is $1 million if Southampton stay up. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's like 50-50, isn't it? Whether they stay up or not. But
the thing is, and this,
so you have to give me shoes.
And this is what was strange about Espanyol holding 30 million euros for Garcia. That's bonkers. It's like they ought to know that there's no market for goalkeepers right now. He should have went for 20 million euros, 17 million pounds. That was the correct market value. But when they were pushing up their nose on it, Arsenal turned away straight away.
Yeah, that's exactly what they should have done as well. Exactly what they should have done. No thanks. Yeah. Thank you. See you later. Tell her, put the phone down. That's it.
Paul says, I am showing your comments, guys. It's too much comments for me to say them out loud, but they are on the screen. Paul says, why not keep Rambo for cut games? We wanted to, but Rambo wanted to leave. He wasn't happy here. He told the team he wanted to go. No point in them. And look, they were within their rights to keep him. But if you look back at the last 12 months and the body language and how he's been around London Coney, which is quite frankly very negative, and a lot of you guys don't see that part of of Arsenal. It was just not. It was untenable keeping him. No point in you being a title challenger and having that negativity around the team. As a team, it's your job to move those players on, let them be happy, and to surround yourself with all that positive energy in London Coney for a team that wants to go on and win a title. So that's my answer on that one, Paul.
Do you know what I felt? I don't think helped him, Apollo, was that his dad come out and started saying stuff in the media, and we haven't seen that from anybody since Arteta took over. All them kind of people kind of left, got booted. And I think once his dad come out and said A, B, C, X, Y, Z, I think that the writing was on the wall from that point as well, that he was going to be gone as soon as possible.
Yeah, hit the like button, guys. We've got over 60 likes, so there's 150 of you watching, so please hit the like button. D says, yes, a shame about it. It is. I agree with you because I'm a big fan of his. But over the last year, if you've been listening to me on this channel, I'll just tell you straight. Yeah, I don't pull punches when it comes to those things. And I was saying that the guy just hasn't got it mentally. He hasn't got the mental side down, and it was costing Arsenal. If you look at those games, Bournemouth, Southampton, you know, where he's making mistakes and we go down a goal within 60 seconds, 90 seconds, and we're having to claw back. This time, the title's slipping away. And then we go to West Ham, Saka misses the penalty, and then we go up to Liverpool, we're 2-0 up, and that's a draw. But you can't have games like the Bournemouth and Southampton. Luckily for the Bournemouth, Reece Nelson bailed him out. And when Reece Nelson scored that goal, the first person to hug him ran 60 yards and lifted him up in the air, and that was Aaron Ramsdale. But unfortunately, the next week he did the same thing against Southampton, and we didn't get away with it then, and it just started slipping away. And if you look at how rock solid Raya is, you're just not going to get that lapse in concentration from Raya. He's 100% on it, and I think you all are going to see that. Those who haven't been sold on David Raya this season, I believe you're going to see that this season strongly. I believe you're going to see that. Still a lot of good comments here. Alfie, shout out to you, Alfie. It says respect, which is why they accepted the low fee. They also accepted that low fee because there's just no market for goalkeepers in the transfer window, not at that kind of money. And we know that because the 6 goalkeepers that were sold were all undervalued, which is what I said to Tony. And I agree with Tony. He's a 40 million. Unfortunately, you weren't ever going to get that money for him.
It doesn't make any sense, Apollo. There's always a goalkeeper market. Every team needs one.
Not this season, mate. Not this summer. And that's predicated. That's shown by the numbers, Tony. I do 100% agree with you, but unfortunately, the rest of the teams don't agree with you. And that's why there's just been no market. And look, I think the 2 biggest things that have struggled this season is striker market value, which quite frankly was well over its price anyway. And the goalkeepers, which I thought was fair due. 40 million for a world-class England international goalkeeper is good money. It just is.
What? So, say that again, Apollo?
40 million for an England international goalkeeper is good money. That's what we should have got for him. But unfortunately, we didn't.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Paul says, I understand you spent 47 years being a gunner. I know we should treat our play. Yeah. And look, you know what I love? The players that we've got there have got the right energy. Neto, the goalkeeper, he's been wanting to play for Arsenal for the last 6 years. And it's finally taken this long again. And he's an Arsenal fan. A lot of these guys, they're Barcelona fans. They're Arsenal fans, like the Fabregases as such. All those guys have got dreams to play for Arsenal. Even the French players from Wenger, they love Arsenal. When you look at the difference between Calafiori and Nico Williams Jr., the team was approached to proc the release clause. One player says, I'm going to Arsenal. I don't care what anybody says. They tried in 3 meetings to keep Calafiori, and every time he said no. They tried it with Sesko, and they convinced Sesko, RB Leipzig. They convinced him to stay, so that didn't work. And then Nicole Williams basically came out and never said anything to anybody. And look, if that meant that Nicole Williams wanted to stay where he is, then fair dues to the player. That's on you. But what I don't want from you guys is slagging off Arsenal because they couldn't sign Nicole Williams. They can only do what they can do.
We wouldn't. Yeah? I would never.
They met with the guy 2 times. They done their due diligence. Yeah.
No one slagged Arsenal off. We was just saying, Tony said that, they showed the interest. And I said, well, it's all right saying I like this, but if you're serious, go put the money on the table, and then whatever comes of it, comes of it. If Nico Williams Jr. turns around and says, thanks, but no thanks, you put the bid in, you've met the release clause. It's not just saying, oh, well, I like this. Go and be serious about it.
Yeah, in this case, the bids won't go in unless the player. It's like the Thomas Partey, 50 million release clause. They asked permission to speak to the player because they're ready to proc it. Partey said yes. In this instance, Everyone knows what the release clause was, 58 million euros. But then Nico Williams weren't talking to anybody. So that it just wasn't, it was just a non-starter. And it's a shame because we need him so badly. We don't know what's in his hand and heart. I would have respected him, Gary, if he came out and said, I love the club I'm at and I want to stay here. There was all these rumors about he wants to go Barcelona. And you know, me and Tony talked about it a month ago. Barcelona had the money. But the deal didn't get done because the agent said, look, he's not saying, he's not talking, he's not telling me where he wants to go. And he was like that throughout the whole summer. So I would, and look, he's a young kid, he's 21, right? I get it. Yeah, he's an Instagram Gen Z, I get it. But I would have respected him if he'd have come out and said, I want to stay where I am, just like Sesko, yeah, when Arsenal went in for him. I'm happy where I am. I feel like I can develop more as a young player where I am right now. I'll be better for it, pick up more experience, and then when I'm ready, I'll sign for a big team. And that's where we're at. And also, guys, remember, the new contract Sesko signed, there was a clause in there to leave for a certain value to go to another team. I believe that's Arsenal. Don't be shocked if next summer you see Sesko going to Arsenal for a pretty low substantial fee, around 40, 50 million. So there was something in that contract there that stinks of high heaven. There's a reason why I think Arsenal's played it safe. The other thing about that, which I've been very clear on this summer, and this is going against the fan base, 95% of you guys wanted a striker. I wanted an attacking forward in the reign of someone who could play out wide, come in and score goals, and facilitate that front line. Thinking of the Jurgen Klopp forward line rather than, I need a number 9, I need a number 9, I need a number 9. And I think we've got that in Raheem Sterling. That's what we needed. That's what we've got. Gary?
Just quickly, reports that I've just read on the Sterling deal obviously echoes that they've been on it since for at least a week. But apparently, it's even better now because there is no fee, no obligation, and only paying a percentage of his wages.
That's right.
So we ain't even have to pay a loan fee for the guy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
it makes it all even better.
Yeah, I said to you
better.
and Gary, exactly. It's a win-win, Gary. When Chelsea came back to us today and they said they want a 12 million loan fee, and then we said no. Then they said you got to pay with his wages, and then we said no. Then they said okay, pay half of his wages. Arsenal still said no, and it's turned around that they wanted all of the wages, and then we got it down to just 60%. So we're paying 180 grand a week, 60% of his salary. And so let that be the focus now. The focus really now is Raheem Sterling. On the flip side of it, I just want to make a special shout out to Chelsea Football Club. You idiots. What on earth are you reap, guys, seriously, let's all take a moment and laugh our asses off at Chelsea Football Club. You reap what you sow for your ridiculous transfer policies. Unbelievable what's going on. You've got Jadon Sancho to pay money, and you're still paying Raheem Sterling. And there's no promise that Sterling's going to stay at Arsenal. I think he's going to get on well with Arteta because Arteta's got a way of the symbiosis with players. You talk to all these players, they love, they want to play for him. They want to. When they was at Man City, Leroy Sané, Raheem Sterling, Riyad Mahrez, and Kevin De Bruyne, all four of them said that they are the players who they are because of Mikel Arteta. They didn't say Pep Guardiola. They said Mikel Arteta. Fact. Yeah? This is fact, guys. And so when you see that them players are developed under him, these guys would die for him on the battlefield. They would die for him on the field. And Raheem Sterling, I'm telling you now, will be a different player. He will be the Man City version of the player, not the Chelsea player that you've seen over the last 12 months. So I think for that, guys, look, even at Chelsea, in a team like that, he still scored 8 goals and had 4 assists in 20 games. So he's still produced decent numbers. And I think at 29 years old, guys, he's very much in his prime. Yeah. And but he's played a lot of football. I have to say this. He has played a lot of football. SAS at Liverpool, you guys remember that. But I think it's a good move for Arsenal. We needed another winger. That's exactly what we got. The winger market is not good right now. There are guys out there about Kremlin, and I mentioned Raheem Sterling is only one of 5 players. Yeah, Raheem Sterling is only one of 5 players who scored 20 goals in the Premier League in one season. Yeah, one of 5 players in history to ever do that. So that's the kind of quality that you're getting at Arsenal. As I said, veteran player. Last 3 seasons, he's averaged in the low sort of 20s for 90 minutes played. So that is when he 90 minutes. You give him 5 games, he's averaged 20 goals. Over fan, Saka has averaged slightly lower. That Saka's got a big season on, guys, because will he hit that 20 goals? That's the thing people are talking about. Incremental increases, Saka better and better. And the key for Saka this season is to hit that 20 goal. Because, Victinus Jr., with, Nico Williams, we've got some ballers there. Salah, Liverpool. Salah will always be rated the better player for him in terms of the All-11 Premier League until Saka hits those 20 goals. That's his marker for this season. So he's also familiar with the scheme that Arteta wants to run. So Sterling comes in here, he'll hit the ground running, he'll understand his role, and his numbers, as I said, are going to be the expectations. He's going to be looking to score and provide and create as much as he has when he was at City. So, adding Sterling to the squad also gives Mikel Arteta a trusted rotational option, which is what we've not had before. We've not had that. Reece Nelson, Smith Rowe, Arteta doesn't trust them. He didn't trust Fabio Vieira to an extent as well. And Saka needs a rest. And in this setup here that we've got now, Saka is going to, and we know he took Saka off after 70 minutes the other day, didn't he? So we know that this is going to be a season where Saka's going to get rested, Sterling's going to play, and I think it works out really well for everybody. Gary?
Can I just jump in? Sorry, can I just jump in, Gary?
Yeah.
Sorry, another bit of poor business that I want to highlight. Charlie Patino. I'm seeing players going from reserve team football and they're getting money. I mean, Chelsea, they're doing a madness. I don't know what the hell they're doing. They're doing a madness because they're selling players to Strasbourg.
Did you see the one that they sold to themselves for 21 million?
Yeah.
I posted it on the thing. They sold a player to their other club for 21 million, and that deal collapsed.
Yeah, it's crazy. But let's be honest. Charlie Patino, a year ago, we was all saying how good it was that he's going out on loan, get some experience, and all of a sudden, Charlie Patino's value has gone from 5, 7 million to 1 million.
Yeah,
brother.
Yeah,
that's mad.
I don't even think Deportivo have got 5 million time.
Bruv, 1 million. Are you mad? And I know there's a sell-on clause that gives you a big percentage should 40%. Get sold.
Yeah,
but you could only get 1 million. Nah, brother. Somebody there needs to go. Hang on a second. If you can't afford more than 1 million, you shouldn't be playing football. Not at that levels. You can't come to Arsenal, expect one. You couldn't buy Amari Hutchinson last year for 1 million or the year before for 1 million. So how you get in Charlie Patino for 1 million?
Yeah, and look, and we can all agree with you, but the reality is, and we have to talk about reality again, there was just no market for him. Nobody would come in for him. And I think from what I've heard, and what I've talked about with a couple of football agents. I don't know who his agent is, but I'm sure they tried to get the best deal for him. The problem is they feel that he's just too underdeveloped. That's what they feel. Blackpool liked him. Yeah. That's the talk, Tony.
Yes,
that's
something must have happened. Something must have happened to him because he was rated as the best prospect in the academy. Went to Blackpool, had a decent sort of spell there, and then just kind of fell off the map.
So Gary, so he's been compared to Zalalem, who went to Rangers and was horrendously undersized for a midfielder. And that's what I've heard. I've heard the same thing back, that he's tremendously lightweight and underdeveloped in the midfield, and teams just didn't like that. No one came in.
What you've got to realise is the player has to have the whole package, so it all comes as one. Like Vieira, to me, too lightweight.
Yeah,
that's why he will never cut it in the Premier League. May have all the skill, we're never going to see it in the Premier League.
You know who said that, Gary? Arsene Wenger. Arsene Wenger said, when we get them at 18 years old and we put them in a team, they have to develop mentally, physically. In that 3 year, there's a 3 year sort of gap that they have between 18 and 21. And Wenger says that's the most crucial in their career, because that's where you see them develop all those different skills physically and mentally. And some players don't cut it. You know,
it's funny you say that, because I was watching a video yesterday of Kevin Campbell talking about Wayne Rooney at 14 years old when he was playing against Southport.
Yeah, he's a man-child. He's like LeBron James. Yeah, man-child.
He just kind of was bodying the big centre halves, and they couldn't handle him at 14. So it just goes to show you have to have this whole package thing. The skill alone is not enough to make it anymore. You've got to be the athletic and the size. You have to be strong. You have to be able to handle yourself. And if you can't, then there ain't no market for you. So that's why you end up at some Spanish second division. But he supported that club. His family support that club anyway, which is probably why he's ended up going there.
And that was his choice, you know, because there was just nobody coming. The cupboard was bare for him. And now he's got to go there and develop it into a player. And if he does, we have a first option to buy back. And if we don't want him, then we have a 40% sell-on clause, which is huge. So if he goes for like 10 million, we get 4 million back. If he goes for 20 million, we get 8 million back. So there's a nice clause in there. But honestly, players like that, I don't think their careers are over. They have to now go and make it happen.
Okay.
You have to understand, guys, the average footballer in the academy in the Premier League that makes it is 2.9%. That means 3 players out of every 100 academy players makes it to a squad of 25. So when you reflect that back to Arsenal, they're actually not doing too bad. People talking about, oh, when was the last time we had an academy player? Blah, blah, blah. But the numbers actually show that, you know, we've got another 3 or 4 players we're looking at this season. Niklas, Hayden, Wanyeri, Salah. That's 4 players right there. So it works its way around. Sometimes, guys, you just get a lightning in a bottle and it's a wonderful thing, isn't it? Yeah. And sometimes it isn't.
92 proved that.
Yeah. Jeffrey Adelaide was supposed to be the best thing out of the academy. Reece Nelson, best player prospect. And then Smith Rowe and Saka passed him. And you know, I remember when he went to Wolfsburg, was it? In Germany.
Hoffenheim, wasn't it?
Hoffenheim, yeah. Scored 6 goals in his first 7 games. And then after Christmas, he was only 18. And he got homesick. And then everything capitulated. And they didn't start him. And he had to come home early. So, but the talent was there. The talent's always been there with Reece Nelson. So it's a shame to see him go. I was really hoping he would stay. But then if Arteta weren't going to play him, then what's the point?
Yeah, agreed.
So, guys, some seagulls. D says, I like Patino, seem to have a big growth spurt too. Yeah, you wouldn't believe it, guys. Some people think, one guy even said to me he's 5'7". Patino's actually 6 foot tall. A lot of people don't know that. But he's just, he's a lightweight. I've seen him just bounce off midfielders. playing for Blackpool. I was like, yeah, he had a good game, but man, he looked featherweight. And I think that really bugs a lot of team because especially when you see our midfield, when you look at a Partey, a Rice, a Odegaard, you can't have no lightweight in there. This game is not predicated on lightweights in the midfield. You'll get chewed up and spitted out. And I think that was the tag on him, is that he was ZLM, too lightweight, and just wouldn't work in today's game. But there's still time for him to develop.
That's a lot of words for a player that should never be sold for £1 million.
Yeah, he missed the boat, man. Yeah, he just missed the boat.
If they're in the market for him, listen, better to get $1 million than give him away for free.
Listen,
yeah.
Somebody needed to go to them and go, look, we're doing a little crowdfunder and get you the extra couple of million or something, man. Because that's a joke.
Yeah.
$1 million. That's literally like taking a Mickey.
You're giving him away, innit?
You're
literally giving him away.
You know what I mean? You got people going on loan, and you're earning more money. You're literally earning more money. Norton Cuffy went for $3 million.
Yeah,
wait till we get 20 million for Cheeto. He's coming in the court, bro.
For real, you know that. That's why.
Cam says, "What's your cousin's strengths, Apollo?" Well, you all know what his strengths are. You've watched him for England. You've watched him to City. You've watched him for Chelsea, Liverpool. Let's say Liverpool because that's where he really made his name. But overall, I think if I had to give him a rating, I would say goal threat 8 out of 10, work rate 9 out of 10. Technical ability, I would say probably 7.5 out of 10.
Defensive,
speed,
that's the fault.
Speed, I would say 9 out of 10. God, you can check this all off. I don't play FIFA, but all you FIFA players out there can check this off. Short passing, I would probably say 7.5 out of 10. He's crossing, I'd probably say 7 out of 10. His composure, I would say 9.5 out of 10. Defensively, I'd probably say 6 out of 10. So that's where I would, and I'm not talking out of bias here. You know, I don't really like to talk about family members, as you guys know, with the whole situation that we've had this year, which has been crazy, to be honest. The amount of messages you guys send me about, give me some information on it. You guys have got to remember, I've got family, man, that I can't be sprouting this stuff out here because a lot of people would get annoyed. So I can't be doing that. D says, I like Reece, still hope the Fulham move falls through. Gary, do you have an update on that?
Hold on. Let's have a look.
I think it's a done deal. That caught me off guard.
Because David Ornstein said it was a done deal.
Yeah, it looks like it's a done deal.
That is Fulham, man. Boy, hold on. How many Arsenal players have Fulham got? Iwobi,
4.
Smith Rowe. Oh, I'm so dead.
There you go. Here's the graphic. I loaded it for you earlier.
Nice.
Tony's on the ball, man.
and really, guys, the Fulham are a good team, man. Okay, what's this?
Twitter's all about Eddie, mate, at the moment.
I
posted this. I posted this the other day on our chat. So basically,
Gary, what's
happened is Arsenal have turned round and they've said to, is it ACAS, the sport, or whatever the court's called for the arbitration of sport?
Yeah.
They basically said, how comes Chelsea and Aston Villa have sold these academy players who have never played for such big money? So I think Chelsea sold a player to Aston Villa and Villa sold a player to Chelsea for like 20 odd million each. It's separate deals, right? So Arsenal have basically turned around and said, hold on a minute. Look at these deals here. We think it's basically fraud. We want you to investigate this. If you're not going to investigate this, we demand that fees be paid, not just for Cheeto, for Ruel Waters, for ACD, and who was the other one that left? There was another one, I think. So Arsenal were basically saying, we believe Chelsea and Villa have committed fraud by ramping up the prices for these academy prospects that have never played a game. We want the same money for these guys, or we want you to investigate Chelsea and Villa. And I think they played a blinder.
I hear you, man. Alfie reminding us that Willian plays for Arsenal. That's right. Yep. So is that five, Tony? That's five.
Yeah, that would be five. Yeah. Here's another story for you.
1 million. Oh,
they can't even get a top to fit this guy, man. His arms are too long.
I'm so dead. D says also our best finisher. Cam says, what's your biggest fear with Raheem Sterling? We talked about Iwobi as well, Stuart. We talked about Iwobi as well. He's included in that five. My biggest fear for Raheem Sterling, who's that, Tony?
Yeah, that's the question. Who is that, guys? Who could tell me who that is?
Do you know what I said to Tony today, Gary? I said, I'm going to have to wear my glasses. I'm going to have to wear proper glasses full time.
Who the hell is that, man?
I think that is...
Hold on. So that tops Patrick Vieira, isn't it? 96. 97,
yeah.
02?
Yeah, that is. You're right, Gary.
Vieira, the first guy that come to mind when I see it.
So think who's going to be around.
That's not Raheem.
No, he's too old for that.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying
29.
to think.
He's 29. Yeah.
That's got to be a kid who's got to be young 20s now.
Who would that be, man?
Yeah, this is my other cousin who is also obviously Daniel. Yeah, Daniel already knows that Raheem Sterling's married to our cousin Paige. So shout out to you, Daniel.
Is Daniel taking a guess that he thinks that this picture is Raheem Sterling?
I don't know, man. Because
no, that's not Nketiah, because Nketiah was a Chelsea fan.
It's Nketiah.
No, it is Eddie Nketiah, boys.
Oh,
it is him.
Oh, well done, Jared. Jared got that one right.
Yeah.
Well done,
Jared.
Man,
I'm sad to see. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sad to see Eddie go. I always thought Eddie should have got in over Jesus, man.
We've got our first Arsenal fan today who actually doesn't like the Raheem Sterling deal. He doesn't like that we got a £60 million player on 300 grand a week for nothing and 180 grand cut down salary. Lewis, tell us what is it that you don't like about him? I did get a question here earlier on from somebody, so if I can find it. It says, what's the biggest fear? My biggest fear is that
defensively, I don't think he's as strong as. So can I just bring up some stats for
Martinelli's not strong defensively, so
let me just bring up some stats for Raheem Sterling that basically will support all your argument about why he should be at Arsenal.
Yeah, and if he's playing in front of Mikel Moreno, so I don't have any problems about defensive there at that point. You got one job, bro. Go in there, create and score.
All right, watch this.
But I hear what you're saying. I just want to say my biggest issue could be that he peaked too early in his age because he started very early at 18 years old. And maybe if he's peaked too soon, he could be suffering from burnout. But I think Arteta would invigorate him at Arsenal. That's what I believe. Go on, Tony.
All right. So unfortunately, I don't know if some of you might be able to see if you got big TV, but essentially appearances between, this is our statistical breakdown between Raheem Sterling and Gabriel Martinelli. Yeah.
Over what period of time?
The whole of last season.
Okay.
All right. So basically the whole of last season, Sterling played 31 games, Martinelli played 35. So very similar. Sterling scored 8 goals, Martinelli scored 6. They both had 4 assists. They both had 1 clean sheet. Sterling had 7 yellow cards. Martinelli had 1. Neither of them had a red card. Sorry. Attacking statistics. Goals per match 0.26 for Sterling, 0.17 for Martinelli. Let's go to some interesting statistics. Shots, 58 by Martinelli, 51 by Sterling. Shots on target, 22 each, even. Shots off target, 15 for Sterling, 17 for Martinelli. Let me get to my next set of statistics. Team play. Okay, penalties 1. Sterling won 3 penalties. Martinelli won 0. Sterling scored 1 free kick. Martinelli, I don't think, took a free kick. They both scored 5 goals with their right foot. Sterling scored 3 with his left foot. Martinelli only scored 1 because we know he's weak on his left foot. That's an interesting statistic. Where else has we got stats? Big chances scored 4 each. Big chances missed 11 for Sterling. Gabby got 5, so Gabby actually was better off in that particular part of this game.
Sterling did miss some sitters. I've been seeing a few of them.
Yeah.
But that happened.
Number of assists. They both had 4 assists per game. Chances created. They both created 7 chances, big chances in the season. Passing. 658 passes by Sterling, 807 by Martinelli. Here's an interesting statistic. Martinelli's pass completion percentage is 85%, which is a damn lot better than it was last week, because last week it was down in the 70s. He was awful. Sterling last season was at 79.33. Could round it up to 80. It's decent, but it's not what the high standards we have at Arsenal, because most of our players are scoring, our passing accuracy is up in the 90s. Now you might say that's because he was playing in a poor team. So hopefully that will improve.
I agree with D. D's saying Martinelli is a striker playing out wide.
Yeah,
I agree.
Do you know what, Apollo? You just took the words right out of my mouth.
I agree.
Was just literally waiting for Tony to finish. And then I was going to say exactly the same thing.
So here's an interesting statistic. Passes forward, 153 for Sterling, 99 for Gabby. And then the last set of statistics is passes backwards, 189 by Sterling, 296 by Martinelli. Fairly similar touches. Through balls, 11 by Sterling, 3 by Martinelli. So again, that shows Sterling is far more effective offensively than Martinelli was in a similar group of games. In a crap team, by the way. Crosses, 59 by Sterling, 109 by Martinelli.
Yeah, but all Martinelli's went out for a throw the other side.
Exactly. That is the point, Gary. All them crosses, and he's only made 4 assists. Are you mad? What are you doing?
That's terrible. Martinelli can't pass. He's a terrible passer because he's got his head pointing down to the ground instead of looking up.
Okay.
He can't pass.
Martinelli's tackles were 30. Raheem's were 21. Raheem actually had a high number of interceptions, 13, compared to Martinelli's 5. Clearances, they're set fairly even. Headed clearances, 6 by Sterling, 2 by Martinelli, which is interesting. And the last one was aerial battles, 1, 17 by Martinelli, 2 by Sterling. So obviously Sterling's crap at heading, unless it's a clearance header. But yeah, I just think, there's a lot of statistics there that point to the fact that Raheem Sterling, despite having what was not a great stellar season and playing in a crap Chelsea team, still his stats are up there with the likes of Gabriel Martinelli, and in some cases significantly better.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I'm just looking at his goal production. 129 games for Liverpool, 23 goals. 339 games for Manchester City, 131 goals. So basically, he was scoring a goal every 3 games. Now, do you remember last season when Martinelli had 2 goals in 20 starts, and practically so did Jesus? Raheem Sterling is not going to give you that. He's not going to have those patches. Even the season before, when Jesus had 10 games without a goal, and I was begging them to start Eddie, and then obviously Jesus ended up getting injured, didn't he, and missing 3 months. But Raheem just doesn't have those patches. He's electric. He's dangerous. He runs at defenders. He creates goals. He just causes havoc. I don't like playing against him, even though he's family, because I know he's dangerous. I know how dangerous he is. But things just hasn't worked out for him at Chelsea. They just haven't.
We've had conversations over the last couple of weeks, haven't we, about Martinelli and how he doesn't get support, but how he not only does he not. People said he doesn't. He's out on the left wing on his own. But the argument is, hold on, he may not get what Saka gets, but he gets ample opportunities, one-on-ones with defenders, time to shoot a goal in positions, and he doesn't take them. Now, Raheem Sterling will take them opportunities. He may not score, but he will cut inside and he will get a shot away. Martinelli will cut inside, and I remember I was saying to him the other day, he doesn't chop in far enough. So the ball is always at his foot, whereas Sterling will chop and place the ball where the next effort is a shot curling towards the far post. Martinelli doesn't do this. And the
thing is, Tony, go on.
Yeah, so Tony posted the video the other day of Martinelli one-on-one. Someone was overlapping and Odegaard was coming short, and he fouled to either pass to the overlapping player or Odegaard, turned inside, lost the ball, and then Villa came on the counter-attack.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So
Decent Sterling knows what to do with the ball.
In the same place, he will do 10 times better than what Martinelli does.
And guys, last week really wounded me up with Martinelli, because I said to you guys on the watch along, there was 3 times in the game that he had the ball one-on-one with a defender, and he kicked the ball too far in front of him and it went out of play. Now, that I don't mind that happening, because it does happen, right? Sometimes you overrun, right?
You should never do that.
It can happen once.
You can have them once, Tony. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
but
once.
when I saw him do it again, I was like, and I pointed it out to Gary. I said, did he really just do that? Then he did it a 3rd time. I was like, no, hold on. And so maybe he just felt Trossard breathing behind his back. The fact that when Trossard came on, he was so annoyed. Maybe that was playing on Martinelli. And some players, guys, remember, not every man is made equal, guys. Maybe some players perform better under stressful conditions, and some players just don't. Some players, when they are pressured, they've got someone looking over their shoulder, they got a player trying to take their position, they just don't do. Look what happened with Ramsdale and Raya last season. Both of them struggled because of all that noise that was going on in the media. And it wasn't until Raya got in and started having great performances that everything started quieting down. And look at him now. I just think that maybe, I'm not saying it is, and there's certainly nothing I've heard from the training ground, but I think that maybe that's possible that Martinelli just gets rubbed that way. I think that maybe he just doesn't have the stones for it. But I think that the thing about it is, and I've heard this from the training ground, they're working on his game, on his development. But it just seems some players, when the lights are on, it's like you could rehearse for a show as much as you like, but when the lights go on and you're sitting in front of 50,000 crowd, everything changes, right? Like Tony knows what it's like. Yeah, you can be a boxer and your trainer's telling you the things to do to prepare for a fight, and once you get in the ring and the lights are on and your opponent's in front of you, half of that stuff goes out the window. Yeah, some boxers can keep to a program and a structure, and some can't. And it seems to me with Martinelli that regardless how they coach him, it just seems like he just goes back to the well. He just goes back to the bad habits, the pointing his head down onto the floor. You can't have vision and see the whole field and see players open or running into the boxes when your head's pointing down towards the ground. You can't. So it's just one of those things, guys. Alfie said, crazy to think less than half a day away. Kickoff, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's nearly 1 a.m. I've got to leave tomorrow at 10 a.m. to get to the game, guys. So
I've got to leave at 8 a.m. My son somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So we are going to shut the stream off soon, man.
I'm going to have a lay-in.
Good for you, man. I've got to set the in fact, as soon as we finish this podcast, I'll set the stream up for tomorrow for you guys.
Yeah.
D says he's not been good enough. Yeah, and again, you only have to look at the assist and because look, guys, this is not a Martinelli bashing session. We love him. He's hugely talented. He had a great season 2 seasons ago, 15 goals. But I say this to you guys all the time. His expectations is on the other side of the field. Saka. What Saka's doing is that's the expectations of Martinelli. And that's the argument done. Yeah? If Saka in the first game, Saka came out, 1 goal, 1 assist, then second game he gets an assist. That's the expectations of Martinelli. And if he's not doing that, you've got to get someone in there like Trossard or Sterling or somebody that will. Tony?
All right, so here's a little breakdown, people, of it's not 100% accurate, I know, because some of the figures are slightly out, but what it shows is total incomings in terms of players coming in. Arsenal spent approximately £101 million. Compare that to outgoings. Approximately, again, slightly less because I think, Nketiah's is 25, Ramsdale's is 18 guaranteed with incentives. I don't tend to count the incentives because you're counting money that you ain't guaranteed to get.
Yeah, so Smith Rose was 27.
Most of them are quite easy. Most of them are quite easy.
Well, no, because Ramsdale's first million is that Southampton don't get relegated. They're pretty much going to get relegated as far as I'm concerned. So that's $1 million you ain't going to get.
But the other one is 20 appearances. Most of them are very easy.
Right.
Very rarely do we not get these add-ons, and that goes to the same. They don't want unachievable targets, otherwise they're not going to get paid the money, and therefore they're not going to sell the player. So people want stuff just as insurance to cover them. Yeah.
So 102 million or thereabouts. So our net spend is less than 10 million in this transfer window.
I like that. That's good. Profit.
That's
I'm looking
great.
for profits.
That's great. But what does that tell me? Yeah, you could have gone out and blown the market on one player. You could have got a Sesko. You could have got a Gyökeres. You chose not to, but yet you didn't spend any money.
Yeah, I'm not gonna answer that. That's a bit harsh. They went in for their players. They wanted Nico Williams. I do it in hindsight. Yes, you want those players, but
right.
When it's beyond,
quick update on Raheem Sterling.
Yeah.
Arsenal have submitted a deal sheet to allow them 2 extra hours to complete the deal for Sterling.
Oh, so what happens in that situation, Gary, is the FA have to send correspondence back to allow that to happen. It's been done plenty of times before.
Yeah, it's been done a few times before. I've heard that before.
And remember what I said, Gary. This is predicated on the fact that the signed contracts have to go through before 11. In this instances, they went through. Yeah. So the contracts are already with the FA. What's not with the FA is just the finalization of incentives and everything else. That, all the lawyer stuff, all the stuff that the lawyers have to go through. But the initial contracts, guys, have already been signed and already been sent through. So this deal is happening.
Yeah. So there's your squad.
You see if I'm the manager here, right? You know what I'm doing? I'm taking Sterling over to the left and I'm putting Martinelli as Saka's backup. That's what I'm doing. I'm taking Martinelli off that left wing because he just doesn't use his left foot and he just doesn't make good decisions. On his stronger foot, I think he makes better decisions. I've said it before.
That's a fair shout. So,
That is.
so that's a fair shout. So, what would you do in the number 10? Would you be happy to see Jorginho fill in there, or would you like to see Jesus also play a number 10 role?
Well, Jesus is whether he's fit enough, and the guy just can't stay fit. So I'm not even including him in the plans, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
He could step into the 10. You give them Neri a chance, or I'm sure Jorginho, very clever, very intelligent footballer. I'm sure that he could play the 10. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree. I agree with you, Gary. Based on what I've seen on them stats for Sterling playing in a poor team, and now he's playing with the guy who he recognises as being the biggest influence on his career.
True.
I don't think he could be more motivated than having Mikel Arteta at the helm, being back in his corner. Mikel is an absolute fantastic manager in terms of motivating players. I think we've done a fantastic bit of business there. I look forward to seeing him get a run out very soon, and he could make that left wing position his own. I feel sorry for Trossard because I think Trossard has earned the right to sort of start this tomorrow at left wing, but the honest truth is Trossard never plays that well when he starts.
Well, he can't go past the man. He doesn't have the pace for it. Yeah, that's the weakness.
So it is going to be an interesting week. Obviously, we got the game tomorrow, then we got international break for 2 weeks. And then we got 2 massive fixtures.
Huge.
And not only that, then the Champions League is involved in after the Tottenham game and before City and all that.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
There's more than 2 times. There's about 3 or 4 or 5 massive fixtures coming up.
And it's going to be so important for Arteta to get the mix right in each game, so that he doesn't end up playing players for 90-95 minutes game after game in this what is going to be a absolute mad period of games where we're playing every 3 days.
If early signs of what we to go by, which is him taking off Saka after 70 minutes, then we're in good stead. I like that, Gary. Gary likes that. Tony likes that. And quite frankly, when I saw Saka going off, I was like, what?
You fell off your chair.
Are you sure we're watching Arsenal here?
Yeah.
Because that is the man management that I would like to see.
Not much has been said about it, but Neto, what are you guys' thoughts on Neto?
Yeah, as soon as they was asking for 30 million for that Joan Garcia guy, it was time to walk away and bring someone in on loan. Neto ticks all the boxes: Premier League experience, international experience with Brazil. 35 does the job for 1 season. The only thing is he's cup tied, isn't he? He's cup tied in the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, I'll live with that.
Yeah, but we give one of the young gunners a start.
Yeah,
it's got to be better than that Runnison.
Setford, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be better than that Runnison guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like him. He's a Gary goalkeeper, and what I mean by that is he's 6'3". He's a big dude. 35 years old, very experienced. Again, when you look at him in terms of the amount of wealth of football that he's played, going back to 2009, just huge, ample amount of experience. For Brazil, I think he's only played 6 times for the under-21s. I remember that competition, and he has started a game for the full national team. But he's a decent player. He's a decent player. Guys, it was either him or Chesney, and I wouldn't have mind either one.
Chesney retired, didn't he?
Yeah,
Chesney's retired.
Yeah, his agent did talk to Arsenal though, and probably because they didn't sign him, he just thought, well, if I'm not going to play for Arsenal, I'm not going to play for anybody. I don't know whether that's true or not, but yeah. All right, guys. So, guys, that's where we are. It's now nearly 1 a.m. So we're going to sign off. You've got Gary and Tony on the watch along tomorrow. So please, guys, join us for that and enjoy the coverage. I'll be doing the game vlog. I'll be at the Emirates Stadium. It's going to be a tough game. I can see some of you guys putting your predictions in. A lot of people saying 2-0, 3-0. I'll probably go with 3-0. It isn't going to be an easy game, but we're just that good a team. Tony, what's your thoughts for tomorrow's game? What's your prediction?
2-0.
2-0. Gary?
3-1 Arsenal.
3-1. Oh, naughty. Gary said we're going to let a goal in, everybody. Boo. Gary, come on. Clean sheets all the way, mate. Clean sheets all the way. Yeah, I think, and that would be one team knocked out of the top 4, and then we go and get the big boys. Could you imagine? We all did the prediction, which, by the way, guys, I'm going to put that prediction up on the YouTube channel. I don't know what has taken Ebony so long to send me hers. I'm just going to put it on without
because Ebony's in Jamaica. That's what's taking us so long. She's got better things to do.
Something right now. Emerson's going for 3-2. That's another one that's saying we're going to let in 2 goals. No! Where are you guys going with the defense business?
It's all right. Don't worry. Emerson never gets his right.
Oh, my God. Alfie's saying that the
Tony
is done.
Arsenal were put off by Tony's attitude.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't good. And you know why we know that that's good? Because nobody else came in for him. Strikers are they're a premium in this world, in this game right now. And for someone like Ivan Toney, English international, how was it that not a soul came in for him? And his own team.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of strikers, mate. There are so many strikers.
I think if we didn't have Havertz, we would have gone for Toney.
Hey, last summer,
having Havertz and Toney in the same team.
Last summer, Thomas Frank said he's going nowhere. It's 100 million if you want him. He's going nowhere. We're going to stand by him. This time he was like, "You're out the door, mate. We're not having it."
Yeah, but don't forget, last summer
they also said
we played 70 million for Kai Havertz, which seems today like crazy money.
65. Yeah, 65.
CMT.
But they also said Brentford also said that if Toney didn't leave today, he wouldn't be playing for them this season.
Yeah,
so
it's really toxic. All right, guys, let's wrap this up. Guys, we'll see you in the morning. Thanks to everybody. Subscribe to the channel. I think 40 of you have already subscribed today. And thank you for hitting the like button. And we will join you over the weekend. Brighton coming up. Let's go. Let's go. Let's freaking go, boys. Speak to you later, man. Peace out, everybody.
Okay, guys.
See you.